Young 18-year-old Praggnanandhaa would be starting his World Cup versus Magnus Carlsen in a short while from now. And talking to us about that World Cup final is a man whose name is synonymous with chess in India, a former world champion, a two-time winner of the World Cup that we'd be talking about. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking to Viswanathan Anand. Anand, firstly, I know you're not playing right now, but a countryman playing that final against arguably one of the greatest chess players to have ever played the sport in Magnus Carlsen. Are you also feeling a bit of excitement or nervousness? How are you feeling?
Hi, it's a great moment for Indian chess and it's a great moment for Prague. It's impossible not to feel the excitement. Yes, for just to give you an idea, I have won two World Cups. Praggnanandhaa will be the first Indian to play in a World Cup final after I have played World
Yes.
Cup finals. But by a strange coincidence, that's the one gap in Carlsen's tournament record. He has never won a World Cup. In fact, he reached a World Cup final for the first time yesterday, the day before. So he's also incredibly motivated. And actually, they're both playing for a title they'll win for the first time, which is curious. Um, Gukesh was the first Indian in 37 years to cross me in a FIDE rating list. Um, and Praggnanandhaa will be the only Indian after me to play in the candidates. That's already locked in.
Yes.
So three of my records were in play in this tournament, and Indian boys have crossed them. To make it extra sweet, both Gukesh and Praggnanandhaa are youngsters that I've known for a long time, interacted with, especially through the Westbridge Anand Academy that I have. So just a lot of personal stuff going on here.
Absolutely, and I hope he can match up, to the levels that you reached, Anand, and join you in that Indian list of winners of the World Cup. He's just one, victory away from that. But just on the subject of Praggnanandhaa, what is that one thing that has impressed you the most about him in this particular tournament per se?
In a tournament like the World Cup, and the reason it's special is it's a knockout format. You play two games, white and black, and if you survive that, you go to rapid games, which is 25 minutes. Again, white and black, you survive that, one more pair, you survive that. Then they get into a sudden death, Armageddon phase, where every game is decisive. It's a very challenging format, has its unique characteristics. And the very fact that Pragg has come this far shows that he's been tenacious, he's survived a lot of difficult moments. And that's probably what impressed me the most. Here, the World Cup is not a tournament which rewards great games. It's not a format which rewards that. It rewards not making the last mistake, it rewards not having accidents. And the fact that Pragg has gotten here so far, I think, shows that he was really able to keep his focus, his concentration, take it one step at a time and do it. He's done that amazingly. Against Caruana yesterday, world number two player, he had a lot of difficult positions, but he survived them all. And the one position he had a chance, he struck and won. So again, he's not only surviving difficult positions, but grabbing his opportunities. Um, I would mention, just to give a little background, that Pragg has had 3 months of superlative results. He played the Global Chess League in
Yes.
June. He played a tournament a very strong tournament in Hungary. And then he's now playing the World Cup. And in all three, he's played very, very well. It's also a qualitative leap over what his performance was before. He's never performed like this and for so long. So I think it shows that he's reaching a new peak. And I think the fact that he's 18 means that suddenly he could have an incredible future.
Since you talk about the format, Anand, how do you reckon, if you were to look into the crystal ball, how do you reckon? You reckon it would be decided with the two classical chess games, or do you think it's going to go to the rapid fire after that?
Everything is possible. Again, the knockout is a slippery format. You from one moment you start thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow in the tiebreak, and suddenly you miss something and you get into trouble right now. And the problem is, you get into trouble, there are not a lot of games to come back. Um, so it's a tournament where it feels slippery. It could finish in the classical. I hope uh, Praggnanandhaa survives that test because Carlsen is a very, very strong classical player, and he has shown in this tournament that he's performing some of his best classical chess in his career. Um, but the rapid format doesn't get easier. Carlsen is the best in almost every time control. And so I think for Pragg, it'll be like an endless test. He survives one, the next one comes. He survives that, next one comes. And it'll feel like that for him till one moment it ends. I don't know what is the likelihood it ends in the classical games, but tomorrow will be difficult because tomorrow is when Carlsen has the white pieces. And he will try extra hard to put pressure there. Fingers crossed. Let's take it one step at a time. That's what Pragg will be doing, and let's just see how he defends himself against one of the best players.
Okay, the reason I asked you whether it'll finish in the classical format itself is that one thing that you notice between the two, between Carlsen as well as Pragg, is that with Praggnanandhaa, you've seen that he's been equally good with both the white and the black. Whereas with Carlsen, we've seen that his record with the white has been outstanding, not so much with the black. Does that then give Pragg some sort of an advantage?
It's true that so far Carlsen hasn't done very well with black. He won 2 games with black, an early round, and then he beat Ivanchuk with black. He lost with Kaima, whereas with white his score has been much higher. I wouldn't read too much. Carlsen has also been kind of pragmatic. When he won the first game against Abbasov, he was quite sensible in the second game. But he can be dangerous. When the slightest chance appeared, he started torturing Abbasov in an end game. So he's not someone who's easily satisfied. The only thing is that he's very, very motivated. In many tournaments, Carlsen has the feeling I've done this many times, and
Yes.
sure, it'd be nice to do it one more time. But he's never won a knockout. So, and the very fact that he's competing shows that he really wants this. So he's going to be just that extra hard to play against him. I believe that one of the most difficult things for Praggnanandhaa is not actually the color, but opening preparation. Carlsen will be bringing out his best weapons. Pragg, it's natural. A player at this stage of his career is not fully developed in his openings. So Praggnanandhaa will have to continuously cope with difficult positions, and we'll see. So far, it looks like a fairly solid opening today. They've started playing half an hour back, and I look for a lot of quiet maneuvering, and we'll see what happens. I think the danger for Pragg is he's been slightly more erratic, because against Arjun he had problems with the white pieces. Against Fabiano, maybe more with black. It's all over the place, and it's typical for someone like Pragg. So he could face problem with either color really.
The reason, one very interesting bit that I read about this final and this entire tournament was a quote from the coach of Praggnanandhaa. He said that, we came here fully prepared till just the Nakamura match because they didn't really think they'll go beyond that. How do you think that is going to play out now that he may have prepared or had enough time to prepare till that stage of the tournament, but now he suddenly finds himself in the final? Would he have had enough time to prepare for a final as big as this?
Definitely not. I think what they were saying even was that we looked at all the opponents. We can't prepare for 8 of them, but we thought Hikaru looks like a sure bet, and it was. They did play him. This person looks like a sure bet. An idea here, an idea there. You don't have to prepare exclusively for each opponent because ideas can be reused against different people. But some customization, so to speak, is needed. There is no way he was even prepared for the games after that. And the very fact that he has coped well is nice. Also, it should be remembered, Ramesh is over here. And he's helping him remotely. So that shows that Pragg is able to take this information that comes in. He's able to apply it, remember it. He's coping well. In this thing, it's actually quite nice for him that his mother is over there, because what he needs is someone who protects him from the nervous tension rather than the game itself, which he's coping very well. And you no doubt seen the pictures of him and his mother
Yes.
standing there waiting and so on. I think she helps him absorb a lot of the pressure, just like I remember my mother doing when I was young. And this arrangement is working well. We'll see.
Okay.
But there's no way he's prepared specifically for Carlsen. He's just been improvising, I think, the last few days. But that's normal as well. I'm sure Ramesh started working as soon as the Hikaru match finished.
Okay, final couple of questions with you, Anand. One, I wanted to ask you, do you see shades of yourself in Praggnanandhaa? A couple of things that are very obvious to the eye. Both come from the same city, that's Chennai, and both child prodigies who excelled in chess very early on. Do you see shades of yourself in him?
Stylistically, there are some parallels, though right now he's a broader player than I am. He is experimenting more areas, but I have to underline that I'm a semi-retired player right now.
Yes.
But stylistically, there are some similarities. Some of his games in King Pawn openings and all, I sometimes look and I think, well, I could have played that game. What's also nice is that I have worked with him for the last 3 years as part of my Westbridge Anand Academy, but also we have played the blitz sessions with each other and we exchange and discuss things. So maybe some of that has seeped through as well. I might have hopefully mentioned something interesting to him. And a lot of these players, by the time they were growing up, my games were sort of references. So it's an unfair thing. I have not studied their games with the same intensity that they've studied mine. Definitely, the current generation in India would have at least at one stage been influenced by my games.
Yes.
Sure.
Certainly, certainly. And I'm sure all the inputs that you're giving him are going to be very valuable to him. Final question, Anand. In general, you know, the emergence of an Arjun, a Gukesh, as well as, Vidit Gujarati, all of them coming good at the top level. What does that tell you about the health of Indian chess at the moment?
I'll give you an interesting statistic. Gukesh overtook my rating.
Yes.
I mean, for the first time, an Indian overtook me in the rating list. That was Gukesh after 37 years. Then Praggnanandhaa is the first player to get into a World Cup final after me.
Yes.
And Praggnanandhaa is the first Indian to get into the candidates after me. On top of that, we now have 4 or 5 players in the top 50. It's hard to even be precise because they've been moving up and down. I think Pragg is now in the top 30. Vidit is in the top 30 as well. So we've got a situation where I have never seen this part of the rating list so crowded with Indians. And most of them are under 20. Praggnanandhaa, Gukesh, Nihal, Arjun are all under 20. And with it will be 30 next year. So we have a very young generation, a golden generation, like they call them. What we have is the prospect of this golden generation representing India for the next 10 or 15 years at the top of world chess. We are in a situation where we're guaranteed being able to watch a top chess tournament and find at least one Indian to root for. It's a very beautiful situation for a sport. And I keep referring to them as a golden generation for this reason. They're all under 20.
Yes. That's very beautifully put by Viswanathan Anand. High praise indeed when it comes from someone like a Viswanathan Anand saying that this is the golden generation and then the future certainly is bright for Indian chess. Anand, thank you so much for taking our time speaking to India today. I hope you get to enjoy the next 2 or maybe 3 days of this World Cup final. We'll be keeping a close eye on this interesting clash. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much.